Hello Giants fans, welcome to Giants Baseball 101. I'm Gabe Vaughn, your host. The Giants lost to the Diamondbacks 8-5 today. The D-backs now have two former big-name Giants players in Evan Longoria and Madison Bumgarner. Jacob Junis started for the Giants today, pitched 2 innings, gave up a home run, and Kyle Harrison got into the game, pitched an inning, gave up 2 runs, so not a good start for him, but he could be settling in there. We never know. And it's unclear exactly when Harrison will contribute in 2023. He almost certainly will. Whether he'll start in long relief or as a starter is another interesting thing that remains to be seen. I think that it's slightly more likely that he'll start out as a starter, but I just don't know. It could be he'll be brought up to the big league roster in the bullpen, and then if a starter, say, maybe gets pulled after 2 and a fraction innings, it will be Harrison that comes in, does the long relief work, kind of either bails out the starter or else mops up an already lost game. That could very well be how Harrison makes his big league debut, but I think it's slightly more likely that he will, in fact, be brought up to make a start as his first official major league appearance. But at this time, we just don't know. And where and when would the opening come up in the rotation? I'm not exactly sure. Maybe if Anthony DeSclafani comes back for opening day and then they realize he's not ready, he heads back to the injured list. Maybe if that happened early in the season, it probably would. If DeSclafani's ankle wasn't ready, it'd probably show up fairly soon into the season. If he went to the IL, that could give Harrison an opportunity early in the season. I'm not saying that's likely to happen. It will definitely be before September that he comes up, but just how the spot in the rotation is going to be opened up for him, I don't know. And then the starter of today, Junis, too. I really have no idea whether he'll be pitching out of the rotation or out of the bullpen. Due to the success that he had last year in large reliance on his slider, I think that he should get a chance to at least position himself as a fifth starter in the rotation. I'm not saying that starters are the better pitchers than the relievers. I think that's a myth. But as far as when you're looking at multi-inning pitchers, starters are the best because when you're looking at long multi-inning relief, you're usually looking at either mopping up an already lost game or eating the innings of a game that you're going to win anyway. So that in that form, a guy's always more valuable when he's in the rotation, and Jacob Junis, I think he should get at least a chance. As for what the rotation would look like, I'm just going to try and make a guess here. It'd be Logan Webb, Ross Stripling, Alex Cobb, and I might as well go ahead and put Alex Wood in there. I don't think he's going to be anything besides a starter, at least at the start of the season. Then in the 5th spot, maybe go ahead and put Jacob Junis, although Anthony DeSclafani is a strong possibility. I actually don't know that Sean Manaea is going to get into the rotation. I mean, they signed him for 2 years, $25 million. It doesn't seem likely that would be to start him out as a long reliever, but I have heard a bit of talk on the Giants website about the possibility of using a little bit less conventional pitching methods, and this includes the possibility of, I think, even having a long reliever, say, get a save, even if it's a 1-run game, which would be really interesting to see. You hardly ever see that these days, where a pitcher will pitch 3 or 4 innings when the game's close in a game when you'd normally be using your setup relievers and your closer, these 1-inning pitchers to finish it out. But if we saw a guy do that, if we saw a guy occasionally come in and pitch a long relief outing and mop that up, maybe take on more like a starter's workload, where you have maybe 2 pitchers who are capable of going those multiple innings, kind of take the bulk of a game with maybe a third guy either pitching the first inning as an opener or like relieving the starter and just kind of turning the game over to the other bulk innings pitcher. that'd just be an interesting thing to see. And the Giants, I think they feel if they can do that with the depth of starting pitching that they have, and that can give them some real flexibility. Now, to offense, Austin Wynns hit a solo home run, and Blake Sabol, he hit a 2-run shot in the 9th inning. So, Wynns is hanging in there. Sabol's just showing that he's got it this spring. It's still a small sample size, but we're just seeing more and more from him. I think Sabol's just becoming a more intriguing candidate to make the opening day roster. Again, too early to tell, but he's doing stuff with the bat. He's performing well, and that could be indicative of a lot for him. You could certainly say more than if he started spring training on a cold streak. And Joey Bart, too, like I mentioned before, it is good that Gabe Kapler is going to make him work for his opening day roster spot. That he's not guaranteed anything. I think that's just a real good thing here. All the same, I am pretty convinced that Joey Bart ultimately will make the opening day roster. That's probably the right call for him to be on as the starting catcher. And then Blake Sabol, if he could maybe come on as the backup. It originally looked like Austin Wynns was the front runner for that. Although he homered today, he'd still have a bit of catching up to do with Blake Sabol. So we're going to have to see how that turns out. Casey Schmidt had another hit today, so he's the other prospect that we're really watching right now, and we're seeing him stay hot, which is a good thing. And that could turn out to be a hard decision at third base. I mean, Schmidt can play shortstop, and Brandon Crawford's primary shortstop, but the other guy who can play shortstop for the Giants is Ford Proctor. I think he's the other primary guy because he saw Major League time in 2022. So how those two infield positions are going to shape up. I think the really tough thing would be if it became clear that David Villar and Casey Schmidt both qualified for the opening day roster, and I'm not sure offhand if Villar can play any other positions. Could Schmidt play second base? I think that's a possibility. I know he can play third and shortstop. Whether he can play second, though, I'm not sure about. So the Giants will need to kind of navigate through all of that, those infield possibilities, and hopefully things will be flexible and everyone who should get a chance to contribute to the Major League roster is going to get a chance. Anyway, I think that's all for today. Thank you for watching. This has been Giants Baseball 101. Please subscribe if you haven't. And I'll see you next time on Giants Baseball 101.